Assalamu alaikum. My name is Zubeir Husssain. I'm a cognitive behavioral psychotherapist, and today we're going to be talking about obsessive compulsive disorder. Obsessive compulsive disorder, or OCD, occurs in all of us from time to time. We may have some certain habits or personality traits where we like to do things in a certain way, check things a number of times, and also have our things in order. OCD is slightly more beyond that though. It causes intense anxiety if we're not able to check certain things, if we're not able to keep certain items in order. Often we might experience some really horrible, intrusive and catastrophic thoughts that something awful may happen, something may go wrong drastically if I do not carry out that action. Usually with OCD, what may happen, you may have a feeling in your body, a certain anxiety response, which will compel you to fulfill that behavior. So for example, I might have a horrible thought that if I do not check the lock, maybe 10 times or 20 times, something bad will happen, such as I may get burgled or somebody may break in. OCD can really impact your quality of life. Because of all these horrible thoughts we are experiencing, it can become really overwhelming. We might feel extremely guilty for having such thoughts, as they may go against our religion or even our family as well. For example, you might be thinking about, I need to do my wudu over and over and over again because I have not done that correctly. Also, all the behaviors that we do with the OCD is extremely time consuming. For example, you might spend an hour in the morning just checking if you've turned off all the switches, if you've checked all the locks, all the windows, all the doors, and that can really impact your functioning then. You won't have any time to do anything else, and it can be extremely exhausting and extremely tiring. Sadly, people might struggle to understand what you are going through, what you are thinking, what you are feeling, and why you are doing these behaviors. Unfortunately, people might think you're becoming quite fussy and quite awkward. That's not the case. It's due to that intense anxiety and all these thoughts you are having that's making you do all these behaviors. They may think you're going a bit crazy or acting a bit odd or weird. They may even laugh at some of your habits. Socially, people often talk about having some sort of level of OCD, but if this becomes extremely severe and chronic, it can really impact the way you function. Like we mentioned, it's extremely time consuming doing all these behaviors. So for example, if you're in a rush to go to school or maybe college, but you're too preoccupied with doing all the behaviors, it will impact your performance in school. You might spend a lot of time cleaning, decontaminating your house as well. And of course, that's going to have an impact on the pleasurable things you might do. You might stop doing all those enjoyable things because you're too preoccupied with the thoughts and the behaviors that you've got going on. What we do know about OCD, if left untreated, it's progressive. Unfortunately, what does happen, your brain can generalize fear. What I mean by that, something that you may check 5 times, in about a month or 2 months' time, you may end up checking 10 times. And that will keep on multiplying. You may just check one area of your house, and that might progress to checking different areas of your house. If you worry about contamination, you may avoid certain areas of your house or even certain stimulus, and that might end up you avoiding all kind of situations and circumstances as well. If left untreated, it can really impact the quality of life. It can become quite obsessional in the respect that you're always thinking about these problems and cannot focus on anything else in your life. And also it can impact the way you function in terms of how you socialize, how you spend time with your family, or even looking after yourself as well. Therefore, treatment is extremely important. Medication is available to help you relax and calm your anxieties. The more calmer you are, the more able you will be able to rationalize these thoughts and behaviors. Talking therapy is highly effective. What we do know is that evidence-based treatment is available to help you treat obsessive compulsive disorder. Treatments such as cognitive behavioral therapy uses exposure therapy to help you reduce your behaviors and challenge the way you are thinking. You work with the therapist one-to-one and you work at your own pace to help you overcome your problems. Research says such therapy is highly effective, it's evidence-based, and it's proved that you can go into recovery and even remission if you have been suffering from OCD for many, many years. Sadly, OCD can trigger a lot of shame and guilt. People feel quite embarrassed to talk about all their behaviors. You may even be scared to talk about these horrible thoughts you have been having. You might fear the consequences of what people will think of you. It's extremely important that we share some of these anxieties and fears with our friends and family. You will be really surprised that they will really support you and help you, and they will even help you normalize some of these thoughts. The more we keep those thoughts in our mind, the worse they will become. Suffering from obsessive compulsive disorder can really impact your mood. It can make you feel quite depressed and down. It can also impact your quality of life and your level of functioning. Sadly, we become preoccupied with all these horrible thoughts that we're experiencing, and we worry about what may go wrong. Unfortunately, life might become directed by all the compulsions that we're doing rather than what we'd really like to enjoy doing, and we're no longer, therefore, living a valued life. You can feel extremely overwhelmed and overburdened by all these horrible thoughts, feelings and behaviors. And we need to remind ourselves, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reminds us in chapter 2, verse 286, Allah ta'ala does not burden a soul greater than its capacity.